and welcome to the CEC Countdown. This is your home for all news related to ESPN's Collegiate Esports Championship. I am your host and purveyor of skinny ties, Alex Corea. Ding! And joining me this week is Gabie Jackman, a.k.a. Black Crystal, a.k.a. BK. That's a lot of letters. Welcome to the show. How's it going?
Thank you, Alex. It's great to be here, keeping everyone up to date on college esports as we get closer and closer to the championship here in Houston this May.
Yes, as we do every week, we'll be replying to your tweets later in the show, so don't forget to send us your questions, your comments, your life advice, art poems, whatever you want to send us, really, so long as you're using the hashtag CEC Countdown on Twitter. We're going to see it.
Yes, it's amazing to see all of the tweets coming in. Fans are cheering on their favorite teams, and questions are being answered. Keep it up, everyone.
Yes, you're being congratulated for tweeting. Only my parents did that. Can you believe that we're just weeks away from ESPN's Collegiate Esports Championship? I can, because we are. Just last week, the Overwatch field was set, and we got to find out who'd be joining us for the live final on the weekend of May 10th. But alas, we still have 4 other titles with teams all fighting for a trip to compete in Houston.
Yes, the full 8-team field was finalized last week, all coming to Houston to compete for the Collegiate Overwatch title in about a month. We will be breaking down a couple of our quarterfinalist teams every week for the next 4 weeks to get the taste of how these teams will perform when the bright lights come on.
Now that we have some time to, stretch our legs and introduce these teams, let's start with the New Jersey Institute of Technology and Harrisburg University of Science and Technology. Now, New Jersey has had a strong season with just a few bumps along the way, namely a loss to the University of Dallas varsity in the National League Swiss and 2 L's to Rutgers in regionals. The Highlanders of NJIT have had their fair share of challenging teams along their path too, with a huge upset over the University of Waterloo in the round of 16. The Highlanders seem to have serious potential, and with a few more wins, they could grow to be a dominating team. Now, to put it simply, the defining feature for NJIT is their synergy. They're a team of 6 that plays great as a unit, with great teamwork being at the center of all of their wins. This has allowed NJIT to use advanced tactics that you'd normally only see the pros use in the Overwatch League. Without their exceptional ability to coordinate plays extremely well, a lot of these strategies they're using would fall apart completely.
You know what, Alex? Let's actually show you that roster. Abadio plays a very strong Brig on their front line, protecting their tank players, Cake, Thickest, and 18 on the back line. Shielding them creates the opportunity for big plays. Conrad and Quadcore are the real dynamic duo on support line, with Quadcore as their main Lucio player, and Conrad able to play flex heroes when they need him to. These players demonstrate a real natural affinity with each other. Yeah,
you can see this for yourself as they prepare for Houston by participating in the NYXL Spring Rally this weekend at Rutgers University. They're currently in the top 4, but are eager to prove themselves. If NJIT can beat the University of Connecticut and win the finals, it can give them a huge confidence boost leading into the CEC. And who doesn't love one of those? That's actually what they're telling me in this earpiece. They're just saying, I'm handsome, got good hair, and I talk good.
Having momentum going into a competition really can do a lot. Let's introduce our second feature team, Harrisburg. This team has had a flawless record, and I mean flawless, not losing a single match in any of the leagues. Especially after seeing how they played against Toronto in the round of 16, this is looking like an all-star team. Each team member is familiar with public stages and high-level play. Hobbs and Insomniac have both played in Contenders, the development league for aspiring Overwatch League professionals. Harrisburg brings a flexible hero pool into this tournament, and we can expect that they'll go into each match with a solid game plan. It was obvious in their match against Toronto that a significant amount of scouting and prep was done before the match. This is also one of the few teams willing to play risky, high-damage team composition. With higher damage comes lower health, making it easy for one mistake to cost your life. They just have the confidence that they won't make that mistake.
Yes, if only I knew what it felt like to not make a mistake. But alas, this is my haircut. The strategy depends on some key players, though. Retina, Harrisburg's tank player, knows how to stay safe while maximizing the pressure he's putting out on the front line. Soames and Insomniac really utilize that pressure to make plays on the support role and build up ultimate charge, making them a real presence in the fight. Hobbs is their Brigitte player, and Swish plays a lot of Zarya, but in reality, both these players have a deep hero pool and can be seen playing all sorts of different positions, depending on the strategy the team wants to use. The reliable backbone play of the tanks with Hobbs and Swish's X Factor, paired with a great support duo, makes for a formidable team that has been crushing it all season long.
Before we move off of Harrisburg, we actually have Chad Smeltz on the line here to give us some closing comments on the team. He is the director of esports for the university. Now, Chad, you're a busy guy, so let's just hop into it. We just went over your Overwatch team's roster. What do you think is the most unique thing about Harrisburg?
So over the course of the past 7 or 8 months, I've seen the team grow over time with what they've been learning and getting on the same page. And I've really liked that growing process.
Yeah, that's like, it's kind of like when like a parent has a bunch of kids, so the older ones can teach the younger ones, and I guess they teach the dog or whatever. But it's really interesting that there's a bunch of different people at a bunch of different skill levels, and you're just kind of homogenize and even out. And
they make it work. They make it work.
Yeah, totally.
So. Awesome. Well, what do students think about the opportunity to play at a LAN event?
The students love playing at LANs, so they want to go to as many LANs as possible. Because, like I said, with the experience, some of them have been to LANs before, some of them haven't been to any at all. So to go to a major LAN in Houston and to be able to compete in the top 8, there's definitely going to be some jitters, but I think that the month of practice that we have leading up to it is going to be really, really good for that.
Oh yeah, man, playing at LANs is an experience in itself.
Yeah, just to bring it back to my parenting advice, that's kind of just like, kid can't swim, just kind of push them right into the ocean. They'll figure it out, and they have jitters, but they'll eventually even out. So that's another good plan. See, that's why I want to be a coach. I'm trying to learn these stuff. Not a parent, though. I actually want to ask a few questions, too, just because I like being important, but also because I'm genuinely interested in this kind of stuff. Is your team doing anything special to prepare for the CEC? There's a lot of teams, but what makes your team special going into this?
Well, the practice schedule, it's been pretty hectic. They're trying to practice as much as they can at the same time as finals coming up in a couple of weeks. So we're trying to make that line between being able to study and being able to practice. But any spare hour that we can do, we've been scrimming.
All right, so here's the $1 million question, and I'm sure as someone in charge of this, I already know the answer. But how confident are you feeling going into the CEC?
So I'm pretty confident. I think that our team is very capable of winning. I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing Maryville in the semifinals and beating them. And then looking to take the finals pretty handedly. I'm pretty confident in our team, so I'm excited.
Thank you so much, Chad. I wish you and your team good luck going into May.
Me too.
Hey, you're very welcome.
Personally, I think Harrisburg is one of the favorites to go far in the CEC. They are a great team with a history of dominance. That being said, NJIT is a scrappy young team with a lot of potential, and they're looking to make a big debut at the Collegiate Esports Championship. They have the fundamentals, they have the ability, but the question is if they can hold up against the talented veterans from teams like Harrisburg and others they will be facing in Houston. The sheer experience might be the differential factor.
Coming up next, we take a look at Heroes of the Storm and Hearthstone with a special look at the University of Houston. One of the teams still in the competition. And hey, lucky for us, we had a chance a few days ago to sit down and talk with them about student life in esports. All of which you'll see in just a bit, so do not go anywhere. The CEC Countdown will be right back. I promise. made it through like 90 seconds. Let's go ahead and jump right back in with Heroes of the Storm as our final week of regular season competition in the TESPA Collegiate Series has finished. After 6 weeks of competition, we've seen some teams clearly distinguish themselves from the rest of the pack. Teams now move on to a single elimination bracket where they'll be seeded based on regular season results. Over the next few weeks, the field will be whittled down to the final 2 teams who will compete at the CEC LAN event right here in Houston. The University of North Texas in particular had a great match against Arizona State University. In fact, I actually think it's the perfect match for us to highlight this week. You want to dive in?
Definitely. In round 1 of that series, ASU chose a roster with many heroes capable of making big individual plays. UNT went by the book, picking a mixture of sustained damage and burst damage. ASU had a 4-kill lead in the 16th minute, but their strategy began to show its weaknesses near that critical point. UNT's more balanced hero lineup was able to stabilize despite being behind in overall kills. With careful soaking and well-timed fights, they started pushing into ASU's base after winning a fight over the Mortar Punisher.
Anything can be fixed with a good sub.
Despite showing dominant team fighting prowess earlier in the game, ASU couldn't stop the attack. A chain of staggered deaths kept ASU from having a full team of 5 for the final 3 minutes of the match. UNT capitalized on this series of errors and took the base, the core, and game 1 from ASU.
I think UNT showed better attention to detail and made fewer mistakes in the close victory, despite ASU looking way better on the kill board. And if you head over to round 2, you can see that UNT chose newly revoked hero Chromie and paired her with an extremely durable lineup. This strategy proved very quickly to be effective as they took an early kill lead over ASU.
Yeah, and it wasn't a small lead either. It actually wasn't until the 10-minute mark that ASU had earned their first kill. At that point, the game was overwhelmingly in UNT's favor, at a score of 10-1. Still, ASU managed to take this 5v4 power play to begin to equalize the momentum of the match, picking up 3 more kills and doing some base damage. It looked like they had a chance to come back.
Yes, and it may have looked that way, but once UNT respawned, they were all business. And this business is personal. You like that? I thought of that one. Despite making progress, it isn't so easy to come back from a 10-kill deficit, though. Once UNT won another team fight, they had all but clinched the victory, eventually pushing all the way and taking the round-end match. UNT took a unique but effective roster of heroes that allowed them to dominate fights throughout the match. Aside from a moment of glory for ASU midway through the round, it was essentially a steamroll all the way through round 2. As a result, ASU drops to 3-3 in this week's standings as UNT climbs to 5-1.
For all intents and purposes, ASU was in a great position to win Game 1 and played better for most of the round, only losing to a string of 4 late-game decisions. In the second round, ASU just pushed the same strategy through, though. UNT used what they learned in the first round to craft a roster of heroes that severely countered ASU. Keep an eye on Heroes of the Storm as the competition will only get fiercer. We're moving into the single elimination phase, which means higher stakes and more intense matches.
Whew. It is really heating up. And not just the games, the studio. We're in Texas, and boy, is it hot. Also heating up is Hearthstone as the varsity division of TESPA's Collegiate Series crowned a winner this week. Oregon State defeated Northeastern University 3-2 in the finals. Both teams, as well as the 3rd and 4th place finishers, University of Jamestown and Miami University. That's how they say it down there. I don't know Southern accents, but that's how I say it. Miami University secured spots in the national championship bracket. The other 12 spots in the national championship bracket will be filled by teams from the Open Division, which resumes play with the regional Swiss phase on April 13th. Those 16 teams will meet in some intense matches to determine which 4 teams will join us in Houston for the ESPN Collegiate Esports Championship.
Back to the varsity division, the top 4 teams from each of the initial groupings were placed into new dual elimination groups, where teams were eliminated once they reached a total of 2 losses. Teams that reached 2 wins automatically advanced. The top 2 teams from each of the 4 groupings moved on to the single elimination varsity division playoff. In this second phase, we saw the University of Oregon and Southern New Hampshire University advance from Group 1, Northeastern and the University of Jamestown from Group 2, George Mason University and Kent State from Group 3, and Miami University and UC Irvine advancing from Group 4.
Now, from where I sit, which is on top of a tiny stool to make me look less like a giant compared to you, there is no doubt that these were some of the best teams during the regular season, and it showed in the varsity playoffs. The University of Oregon moved through the quarterfinals and semifinals, defeating both Kent State and the University of Jamestown in close 3-2 matches. While on the other side of the bracket, Northeastern picked off both UC Irvine and Miami University 3-1 on their way to the finals.
Seriously, Alex, what a finals match it was. In Hearthstone, teams are required to bring 4 different decks. Their opponent bans 1, leaving 3 that they have to win with once each. Oregon's lineup featured 4 very aggressive decks. More aggressive decks than any other team in the playoffs, with basically no variety or flexibility. Oregon wanted to establish a lot of inexpensive minions on the board quickly to put constant pressure and damage on their opponents. Northeastern played it more by the book, bringing a range of decks that have been very strong performers throughout the current format. Their lists were broader and more conventional compared to Oregon's strangely hyper-specific lineup. Northeastern fielded mid-range Hunter, Druid, Gallery Priest, and Odd Control Warrior, which was banned by Oregon. Mid-range Hunter and Druid are 2 decks that can hold up under pressure from aggressive decks. But cloning Gallery Priest relies on some big combos to deal massive damage on a single turn. This specific Priest deck being in Northeastern's lineup was crucial to the outcome of this match.
Northeastern opened up the series with a strong 2-0 lead. All they had left to do is win 1 game with their Priest, and it was over. And it looked like they were going to take out the finals match, but this was all part of Oregon's strategy going into the tournament. They chose their 4 aggressive decks to counter this one specifically. If they came up against a team fielding this deck, they would lose the first 2 games. Because each team must win with a different deck for each win, eventually their opponents would be forced to play Priest. And despite being 2 losses behind, as long as all of Oregon's decks could beat Priest every time, they would be able to take the series. Spoiler, this is exactly what happened, as Northeastern couldn't find a single win with their remaining Priest deck. Oregon pulled off a 3-2 reverse sweep for the win.
It's awesome to see a plan like that pay off. They really showed that it wasn't just a gimmick, but a real threat in the match against Northeastern. In the process, they won the TESPA Hearthstone Collegiate Championships varsity division, qualified for the national championship bracket, and received an invitation to the Hearthstone Masters Tour in Las Vegas. A huge victory.
Yeah, watching the stories of these teams and following them from the beginning to the end of the league is what really makes these college esports fun to watch. And lucky for us, we had a chance to sit down with the president of one of these teams' clubs in the studio a couple of weeks ago. So the other day, we decided to follow up with them at the University of Houston. The question was how he and the university's Hearthstone team were preparing for the CEC. And the answer is everything in this. Check it out. Just last month, a team of Cougars made their way to a record-breaking season in the NCAA basketball tournament. However, on another playing field at the University of Houston, the Hearthstone Esports team is in second place out of 109 schools in the southern region, and for the 2nd year in a row, they've made it to the playoffs. 14 students have competed throughout the school year in search to reach the CEC. The University of Houston Esports Club continues to grow in general and has now reached 100 paying members. The Cougars esports team's success hasn't resonated as loud on campus, but the team feels like esports will one day be on the same level as some of the more popular sports programs.
I think esports are starting to we're starting to hit that day and age of we're getting on the level of normal sports. Like, we've started seeing prize pools growing in exponential size. So I think we're starting to get to the point where they're co-current with one another.
Esports are they're more accessible to more people, but I think both sports are definitely still going to have their same space, but they may end up sharing that kind of stage that currently traditional sports only shares. I mean, you see the stadiums that are sold out for like the size of the Super Bowl or something for these kind of video games, and they're going to eventually share the same stage, if not getting overtaken.
I think it's going to be huge. First of all, like, college sports are huge, and people recognize that energy in college sports because it's that hometown pride. You know, like, that's really something that you can root for. You go to any college basketball game and the energy is just electric, and I think that same energy is going to apply to esports. It's not really any different. It's all entertainment. I think that same energy is going to apply here. Esports in college, at the college level, is going to be huge, and I think the CEC is only the start of what we're seeing right there.
With esports on the rise, schools and universities, like the University of Houston and others, are beginning to really get behind these fast-growing programs. When you really look at it, the balance of books, practice, and game time is incredibly similar when compared to a traditional collegiate athlete.
You're playing an esport, you're playing a traditional sport, you have to practice at it. But there's also the coaching aspect, having people that are dedicated towards it. It's all the same kind of mentality going into them, just one of them is more physically demanding than the other one. But that's not to say that both sports aren't demanding in their own right, one more mentally or more analytical, and the other just being more physically demanding.
It's no different practice. It's just you have to set time aside to do your activity. It's the exact same thing as a real sport. Normally, you just have to set schedules for yourself, honestly. You just have to have time to go to class, set time to study, set time to practice with your teammates, and then we kind of just coordinate that as well.
From the university, what we're looking for right now is infrastructure support. You know, like we see other universities like Rice and all them, they're building these centers for esports on their campuses. And we think that's something that we really could use so much. That could help advance the program. And if we advance the program, then we can go ahead and turn that right back around into advancing the university. And so it would just feed off of itself. And I think that would be good for everybody. So that's step one, is advancing the infrastructure on campus. We're looking at an esports center. We're looking at a varsity program for our esports, official recognition, the whole 9 yards. That's what we're going for.
Wow, it's like, first of all, great that they have a team to play with their peers and stuff, but also just a place where they can publicly kind of love games.
Yeah.
When I went to college, I didn't tell anyone I love games. I was like, yeah, I like frisbee golf.
Frisbee golf, okay.
But it's like awesome to have that resource.
No, it is true. It's true. I mean, if I had that opportunity when I was in college, I'd be so excited. This is fantastic.
Yeah, and I'd probably be good at a video game. But that's not all we did at the University of Houston. Just like last week, we made a part 2, and we'll check that out as well as our last 2 titles after the break. While you're waiting, you can tweet us with the hashtag CEC Countdown. We love using your questions and comments on the show, and I just like practicing reading. So don't go anywhere and send in those questions. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You made it. Good for you. As promised, we will have part 2 on our time at the University of Houston. But first, we got to move on to StarCraft, and this week was a big one as many top teams faced each other in some important matches. Right now, the top 4 teams are UC Berkeley, Waterloo A, Waterloo B, and the University of Chicago.
I guess Waterloo just has insane StarCraft players.
Yeah, there was probably some sort of drafting or something. There's no way that you just naturally have that many people good at StarCraft.
I think they breed them there. I'm convinced.
I want to know more about that after we move on. Yeah, having 2 teams in the top 4 is impressive, but UC Berkeley is still ranked #1 with an impressive 11-1 record, which begs the question, what's better? You know, is it better to have a first-place team or 2 teams in second and third?
I don't know, man. They do always say 2 is better than 1. However, I don't know, that top spot.
You know what they say, if you're not first, your parents are disappointed. I know that from experience.
Still, let's not forget about Chicago. They were in top form throughout the season, but took quite a slip this week in round 10 with a loss to UC Berkeley and a shocking loss to 4-8 San Jose State University. They also got busted 2-0 by SJSU. Things weren't looking all bad for Chicago, though, as they were able to stem the bleeding and pick up a 2-1 win over UC Santa Cruz. Despite having a rough week, their strength going in means they still gain a top 4 spot at 8-4.
But hey, let's be honest, this is still a pretty wide open tournament, you know? Anyone can have a chance at this. When you have arguably the best team in UC Berkeley taking a 0-2 loss to a team in the middle of the pack before going on to defeat a top team in Waterloo B, it just shows that there's still so much undecided here. Teams are jockeying for position, and that number 4 spot is honestly really a wild card.
You also see how important it is to know the matchups and to know your specific opponent's play style. With that kind of knowledge in this team brawl format goes a long way into contributing to the team's wins. It's more than just mechanical skill at the game. Oftentimes, the difference between winning and losing is preparation and studying. A team who studies one week may win every match, but lose every match the following week if they decide to slack off a bit. This was very apparent in last week's UC San Diego versus UC Berkeley match, where San Diego went up against the league's #1 ranked team.
And that's honestly a match that I want to dive into, so hold your nose because we're diving in. In the first game of this series, San Diego's Zerg player, Light, made an interesting decision to build his spawning pool earlier than normal, which meant he wanted to go for a very early attack. With it, he pumped out a quick 6 Zerglings, but Intuition had already finished a wall that the Zerglings had no chance of getting past. Protoss can easily do this, so Light's strategy was, to put it simply, unorthodox and risky. He wound up paying the price as his Zerglings were forced to retreat, the early investment leaving him behind economically.
That's right, and Intuition was completely unaffected. Not even a scratch. He just carried on with his standard game plan. He focused on upgrading his research while sending out oracles and archon drops to harass Light. With a slow start, these attacks were more deadly than normal. But Light pulled it off, predicting and deflecting all of it. Having burned a lot of resources on small attacks that did no damage, Intuition's lead was slipping away as Light grew stronger. It was his turn to attack now.
Having just sat back defending for so long, Light was able to slowly build up an army that would be effective against Intuition. While Intuition had been attacking all game, Light just needed one large attack to end the game. He sent a large army to attack the front while another force got dropped in behind, overwhelming Intuition and taking the game.
Let's hop straight into round 2, where both players started with textbook openings. Flume, San Diego's Protoss player, focused on taking an expansion. With such a passive start, Flume suspected that Berkeley's Terran player, Rex Required, would try to airdrop units directly into his base. He focused on scouting that specific play and predicted correctly as he set up a trap that took out Rex's full dropship worth of units. A huge play for Flume. He was way ahead now. Rex Required tried to kill off workers with Liberator's sneak attacks, but Flume was watching out for it, making them ineffective.
Now, to be completely honest, Flume had full control of the game from here on out. He pushed out using his larger army to take several open fights against Rex. Terran units excel at defending, so it took some chipping away, but Flume got further each and every time, inevitably breaking through and taking the match for San Diego. So, congrats.
UC Berkeley taking that unexpected loss could be the deciding factor to push them out of the #1 position as we head into the last week of the regular season competition. There are 3 more matches, which means 3 more chances for teams to secure the best possible seeding going into the single elimination bracket. Again, many of this week's matches have the power to shape up to be the top 4 seed.
Berkeley is perched at the top of the standings after week 4, but their position isn't set in stone. Looking at their matches for the next weeks, they face off Waterloo A in round 13, a team that could easily hand Cal another loss. This match is the most difficult one for both of these teams next week, and it's one that might determine which team ends up on top going into the single elimination phase. Chicago, our #4 team, needs to have a good week if they want to maintain their #4 spot and make it into the CEC. They face Toronto's A and B teams in back-to-back rounds before closing out against Stevens Institute of Technology.
If Chicago drops a game, UCSD or George Mason could sneak in and take that #4 spot. I think that's where I see the main battle is at.
Totally.
I think it's between Chicago, UCSD, and George Mason. And this is going to be the most exciting week yet coming up for college StarCraft. You can catch the action yourself on Blizzard's Twitch page tomorrow, starting at 4 o'clock Eastern.
I like what you said originally. This is the most exciting thing in college. Forget classes and stuff. Watch this. Well, hey, that's it for StarCraft. But before we move on, I want you to stay, first of all, vigilant on me staying true to my word. And I'm going to show you the rest from the University of Houston. We had a chance to sit down with the players the other day. So here is part 2 of our exclusive interview. Check it out. Even after the wins and losses are tallied, these students have found a select group of teammates, a tribe of sorts that help push them to their competitive limits.
I just found this Discord maybe in July of the summer before I came to this university, and I initially didn't know that Hearthstone teams were a thing in Collegiate. I thought it was just solo people, just go kind of just do your own tournaments. But I went to their first LAN that was posted, and I met actually a lot of the friends that I have now currently, and all of my teammates I met at the LAN as well.
I feel like the team I have this semester is really a team that's gung-ho about trying to win, trying to study the game, study the meta, and really do as well as we can. And that's been a great breath of fresh air. It's just really nice to have this kind of competitive environment as well, but we're all still really good friends.
With some, it just started off as a recreational activity. But now it's become so much more with the opportunity to win cash prizes and scholarships. With the rising stakes in esports competitions and programs at the collegiate level, universities and colleges like Houston will begin to realize that the more money they put behind athletes, the better it will be for them in the long run.
The community is second to none. We have just a really great group of people here, fantastic tight-knit community. We all love video games, we all love entertainment, and I think you can really feel that energy, just like I was talking about with college sports. Everyone has that hometown pride. It's the exact same thing here. Even guys that never play Heroes of the Storm, they come out repping for my games because we still share that same U of H pride, Houston pride, esports pride. I totally feel like it's been a good experience, and it's only on its way up as esports grows and as esports at the University of Houston grows.
The CEC will be home to some of the best collegiate esports players from around the country. Cougars at Houston will have a home field advantage come May 10th as the tournament kicks off at the George R. Brown Convention Center. Upcoming esports programs such as the one at the University of Houston will continue to show why they deserve more backing and recognition in the larger collegiate esports scene. They're looking to create a much larger buzz around the campus, not just for major competitions, but for every game day year-round.
I think that one day this could all be huge. Like, we could actually have a situation where an esports game day could even be as big as what you might see for some of these other sports. Like, you know, like in the future iterations of the CEC or whatever we may have in the future, we could see people decked out in here, walking around, wearing their U of H gear, you know, repping. We have people don't even care about football. They turn up for U of H football. And I think it's going to be the same thing here. I think that, again, the industry is only going to grow, the university is only going to grow, and the city of Houston is going to grow. I think the city of Houston is the future of esports, and I'm ready for it 100%.
Man, at the end of the day, it's just so nice to see a bunch of students and, you know, faculty so excited about esports. When I went to college 6 years ago,
How old are you?
in 2013, people didn't even know what esports was. I had to explain what it was, how to spell it. Now everyone's making teams and clubs. It's great.
Yes, it really is, and
Yeah.
I enjoy it. But before we move over to the lounge, you know your girls got to talk about the FGC.
Go ahead.
So the Street Fighter V competition is just over a week away, and signups close next Friday, April 19th. You still have plenty of time to get your team together and sign up. If you make it through the qualifiers, you get to play live and on stage at the ESPN Collegiate Esports Championship in May.
Imagine you could lose on stage or win, but I would lose. Coming up after the break, we'll see what you have to say. We've been collecting your questions and comments over the course of the show. We're going to do our best to answer all of them. And good news, you still have an opportunity to get in on the action by tweeting #CEC Countdown. We still might pick them. So go ahead, go tweet. We also have our top 10 college esports plays of the week coming up right after the break. So do not go anywhere because I'm watching you. And that's real. Nobody here in studio either. Back to the CEC countdown. I'm still Alex and you're still BK. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay, well, hey, we're here. We're in the lounge, which means, yes, we've changed seating receptacles. You are on the couch, lucky you. And, hold on, now we're in the lounge, ladies and gentlemen. That's what I'm talking about. I'm still Alex, and now you can hear me. Now, we are in the lounge, which means we're definitely absolutely live. I know some people are some haters in the chat saying, is this live? Of course it is. You were going to prove that it's live right now.
I see you, BK fam. What's up? I'm glad you came through. Slick, Deadman, He90, Jedi. What's up?
And also, hey, would I still have the mic muted if I was not live? Of course not, because I'm a professional. Let's go ahead and take a look at some tweets before we do the top 10 plays of the week. But again, you guys have been sending us stuff all day on Twitter, so let's check it out. Should we?
Yeah, I think we should. Let's take a look.
Okay,
Everything came in. You had a lot of fun last week, so let's get this ball rolling.
Let's absolutely get into it, because you don't know the half of it. But let's go ahead and get to the first tweet. This one's hot off the presses. What's that? The Wire. We're plucking it right from there. And the first tweet comes from Merkelix, who said, I'm sad Overwatch is finished until the LAN, but I can't wait to watch them compete at the CEC. So it's a doubtful comment, it's a sad comment, but then he brings it back, much like a roller coaster or some sort of fictional bird.
Well, I mean, Overwatch isn't over. Come on, there's plenty of ways to get your Overwatch fix.
This guy's being negative.
Definitely. Nah, cut that out.
Listen, Overwatch will go on in our hearts. My Overwatch heart will go on.
Definitely.
Can I sing that? Do we have rights to that? No? Okay, well, whatever. Listen, you can always queue up. You can always solo
If you like
queue.
torture, if you want to torture
Yeah, you can
yourself,
solo
go ahead.
queue if you want to be mad at teammates or team up with your friends and play some games. But also, listen, there's got to be a calm before the storm.
Yes.
Sometimes you got to mute a mic before you really get the vibrato. And I'm just saying these teams have to practice. They got to do finger stretches.
True.
They got to do the hand warmer things they do before matches. They got to run up a big set of stairs in Philadelphia and go like this at the top. But these guys have to practice because this is a giant LAN event.
Definitely.
So naturally, there's going to be a little bit of downtime. So don't worry. We're going to get there.
All right, we have another tweet here.
Let's do it.
Jesse J, do you think there is a big difference between teams with a coach and teams without a coach?
Of course. I got this one, okay?
Okay.
Teams with a coach have one, and teams without a coach don't have one. There you go. Next question.
Brilliant.
That one was easy. Where'd you get that from? A Highlights magazine?
No.
That was easy. No, I think we talked about this before the show. You had some thoughts about this.
Yeah,
and I'll say
no,
mine.
I mean, I think having a coach is kind of crucial at a point. Having that outside perspective, having, that insider look, someone who's not a player, I think it's kind of necessary.
Yeah, I mean, listen, my thing is always, this is going to sound negative, but you need, listen, a good coach will make a good team better. But I've seen very specific times in the past, not to name names, but sometimes you have a coach that doesn't really mesh with the team,
True.
and they kind of make them slide. Might be a little bit more aggressive, toxic. You never really know. So yes, they have to be a good coach.
Definitely.
For me, I'm a renegade. I'm a loner. So I like to do things. I like to, kind of wing things. So I don't think anyone can tell me what to do. So I would not do well with a coach.
Of course, you'd probably be one of those players. Oh, hey, Blazeman, what's going on? I see you, fam. Okay.
And also, I'm being told I have to move on.
All right.
Yes, director, of course. All right, let's go ahead and get to our next tweet here. Remas B said, what's your favorite Street Fighter characters? Mine is Guile. USA! USA. Hashtag CEC countdown. I love the patriotism with the tweet.
USA.
I love it. I always start my tweets with my top 10 favorite presidents. I don't even have room for the rest of the tweet. That's all 240. That's my whole Twitter timeline. But I love it. I love Guile. I'm going to bounce this question to you.
All right.
What is your favorite Street Fighter character?
Okay, well, I gotta keep it straight with you. I gotta pick my waifus, my girl Sakura, Chun-Li. Come on, the legs for days. How can you not like her?
You don't listen. A spinning bird kick is scary enough, but if you get hit by one of Chun-Li's, those are like muscle powerhouses. You're out.
Oh yeah, insta-kill.
I'm going to answer this question in a way. First of all, it breaks my heart because I don't see him played a lot in 5, but I'm going to go with my man Zangief. Speaking of legs, listen, not to hate on Chun-Li's legs, but if you're talking about legs, 100% pure Russian muscle. And listen, smooth hair right on the shin. That's what I'm talking about.
That's the wave.
You don't want to get hit with a hairy Russian calf. First of all, I don't know how that's biologically possible, but also it probably smells like a boot. So that's why I'm going with Zangief.
All right, here we've got another tweet here from TomTom's Esports. Which Overwatch team do you predict to win the CEC?
First of all, he's looking for that insider information.
Oh yeah, he wants to know the
He's
scoop.
placing some bets with his friends, and he knows that I've got the inside. Should I call up John ESPN again?
All right.
I have his number. I'll do it. Hello, John? Yeah, I'm looking for the results. You probably already have them, right? Okay. Yeah, I love you too. Dinner at 8. Okay, bye. I called up ESPN. They already have the results. It's
All right,
crazy.
tell me. Hit me with it.
It's going to be Rutgers. I'm calling it right here. There you go, guys. Rutgers is going to take the entire thing. You know why?
All right, tell me why. Why, please?
Listen, it's because, first of all, we've seen them have impeccable performance so far. They've barely lost anything.
Okay.
And they're from New Jersey. I'm from New Jersey. I'm great. They're great. And mostly, it's because New Jersey needs some help. Here's the thing. We don't do good at sports. We've lost our basketball team.
Too good at anything.
I think our hockey team is just a bunch of horses that we put on ice skates. And we need esports. We really do. We need them to be good because we're so garbage at regular sports. We're not even that good at music.
No.
Bon Jovi, come on.
That's a lofty goal, man.
So please, New Jersey, please, can you do well?
No,
but they're
no.
going to win. I'm sure of it.
No. I think it's gonna be Maryville that's gonna take it. They are stacked with really great players. I think they're breeding them over there, honestly.
Well, I can neither confirm nor deny that because I think that's some sort of liability. But I'm still going to call Rutgers. Let's go ahead and take a look at our top plays. We're out of time for tweets. We got to move on. We got to get to these plays. These are the hottest plays we saw at the CEC this week. Let's hop into it.
Come on, let's
I'm
get
ready for
it.
this graphic. I always love this graphic. Woo! Look at that. Sparks. Letters.
Spicy. Well, play 10 comes from the StarCraft match we showed earlier between UC Berkeley's Rex Required and UC San Diego's Flume. Rex sneaks in behind Flume's base and tries to go for the kill by hitting his gateways. But little did he know Flume was ready for it and had already prepared a group of Blink Stalkers to deal with the threat. In the end, he took out the medevac with the entire army inside.
Ooh, spicy stuff. Hearthstone comes in at number 9. We start with Northeastern clearing Oregon's entire board, making them safe unless Oregon happens to draw one very specific card. Guess what happened? Exactly that. Avenging Wraith was the one card they needed to end the game, and they pulled it. Ta-da! It does 8 damage split between all enemies, meaning that if your opponent has no minions, all 8 of the damage goes straight to the hero. Left at only 1 health, Northeastern could do nothing as Oregon landed a final blow with a direct attack from his paladin.
And at number 8, more UC Berkeley StarCraft with a great pivot. The Protoss player Intuition moved into the Zerg upper expansion and used a force field to block off any possibility of defense. This 1-2 punch ended up inflicting massive game-winning damage.
And at number 7, we got Heroes of the Storm. Kentucky here has a good lead over Arkansas, as you can see, who's trying to equalize the game with a sneaky boss rush. Kentucky catches on, though, and manages to make it down in time to contest. Caught out in the open, they annihilate Arkansas and get the boss for themselves, practically closing out the game and then winning it.
Taking the 6th spot is one of George Mason's StarCraft players, Janitor Bob. In his game against SJSU's Liu Jiao Best, he decided to go with a fast attack of Zerglings and Venlings. Bob hadn't quite finished setting up his defense, so he scrambled to defend the ramp. Without missing a beat, though, Bob rushed up to surround the Marine Army, taking it out and winning the game in just 4 minutes. It can be really risky to do all these early all-attack plays, so Bob here showed a lot of confidence.
Just gonna say Janitor Bob fucked it up. In at number 5, Northeastern Hearthstone team went for a flashy combo win. They start by dealing 20 damage with a massively boosted Mind Blast, doubled twice by the profits on the board. This isn't enough though, so Northeastern has to rely on their Archmage Velen to recast it at the end of the turn. He chooses a random spell previously played this turn, leaving a 50-50 shot of getting Mind Blast again. And guess what? They wound up hitting, finishing off UC Irvine's hero and getting the win.
At number 4, Mississippi State is down 1 level against Trine as a team fight breaks out. The Bulldogs absolutely need to win this fight to catch up, but Trine's Barrel Rider casts a huge March of the Murlocs from the bottom off screen. I don't even know how he got there, but Mississippi was just as surprised because they were completely caught by it. With their movement speed slowed to a crawl, there's nothing they can do as Trine pushes forward and mops up the whole team.
Mops up. Janitor Bob there. Number 3 takes us back to Hearthstone, where Northeastern makes a genius play with Azalina Soul Thief. This card replaces your entire hand with whatever's in the hand of your opponent, which sounds cool, right? Wrong! Because it can be pretty risky, because the chances are those cards won't synergize with your deck at all. They knew that Miami's deck ran a lot of damaging spells, though, and they just needed a little bit more damage to win, so they went for it. Lo and behold, they found exactly what they were looking for and used the extra damage to take the game on the spot. And that was smart. Sorry, doing a Boston thing.
For play number 2, we head back to Heroes of the Storm. ASU is trying to get back into the game by taking a Mercamp, but UNT doesn't want to let them have it and move to engage the Sun Devils for a team fight. ASU leads off with a good initiation, but UNT's Malfrition reacts with a huge root and Twilight Dream to silence all 3 clumped up ASU members. Now in huge trouble, ASU's team tries to reduce as much damage as they can, but it isn't enough, as UNT's McNider pops off on Blaze to steal the fight and the match for the Mean Green.
Here's where the Storm grabs the #1 spot with a good old-fashioned base race. Ooh, I love these. Rutgers and Pomona both had the same idea to push each other's base, resulting in a race to see who could take down the core first. It's all about those percent bars at the top of the screen, so keep a keen eye on those 2 things. Who's going to get it first? Rutgers or Pomona? It's crazy how close it is. Both teams pull out all the stops as they try to do as much damage as fast as possible. But as you can see, Rutgers is the team to win the race, and with that, they take the series. Both winning and proving me right. So, my boys back home. Love you guys. Woo!
You're a little clairvoyant there.
Yeah, I knew it. That was the first time I ever saw those clips. Crazy. Weird that I would call them to win.
Those plays make me really want to go home and get my game on. I'm itching to play, man.
Oh, everyone here wants to go home and play games, right? Yes, I'm getting a lot of head nods from everyone in the studio. Thank you, guys. Well, let's go ahead and close this out then, shall we? Ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of our show.
All right, I guess so. But you know what? We had a lot of fun. And you know what? But come back next week because our team is going to take an inside look at Maryville's Overwatch team. I just love getting in those behind-the-scenes sneak peeks. So exciting.
Yeah, we really went behind the scenes. We had to send a reporter with like one of them fake mustaches and glasses.
And of course, you can always find the CEC action right here.
Yes, come ahead. Same time, same place.
Yeah.
Next week, check it out. I think that, no, I have to, one more thing I want to tell you guys. Go follow the Collegiate Esports Championship on social media. It's super easy. We're not asking for your dollars. We're asking for your social currency. So go help us out with a follow. We want to hear your thoughts, too, so go chip in a few words if you want. Once again, I am Alex Corea, and I forgot my name. I really need to go home and play some games. Thank you, BK, for joining me, and from everyone here at the studio, thank you for watching. We'll be here next week.
See you
I'm just
later,
gonna wait
fam.
Here. I'm not going to move.
Are you sure?
They hold. They just
hold it
cleaning
for
people
forever?
dust me.
They have to, but they're trying to backdoor. Medevac versus Boss. Let's go. Get in position. Medevac is down. It's a base race. Here we go. Medevac takes off. They are on the court. This is in favor. Orange U's about to end this. Sanctification has to go down.
Right? There
it is. They've ripped through it. They've done it.
Some of these fights is things like the coalescence, packaging that together with a heal, but already EMP can shut that down.
Yeah, sandwich of ultimates. You have the EMP and more pain coming from Northeastern that should completely wipe out UTD again.
Well done. A really chunky fight as well. You know, all of the sellouts kind of going in at once. Very few trickling in to just die into a pit of Archons that are all attacking, and Pancake's not able to get his Archons to attack without taking a lot of damage first.
That may cause